Good evening, free enterprise fans around the world. My name is Possum Morpheus, and I am joined by Bad Karma for this fantastic new edition of the Sunday Slapdash, sponsored by our new racebot overlord, Tricker. So, Bad Karma, how are you doing tonight? Are you excited for this?
I am so glad I'm in the booth tonight and not racing this.
Boy, howdy, does that make two of us. It is indeed a mystery what we have going on tonight. This is the first time that the Tricker bot will be able to roll the seed for our runners, and that relieves some of Poydrak's duty from what he normally does for the community. But you want to tell us a little bit about some of the mystery flag stuff, Bad Karma?
So with the 4.2 beta that we have out right now, one of the new flags is a hidden flag, which means you don't know what the flags are going into the seed. We have opted to roll hidden tonight with the Tricker bot, and so our runners don't know, and against our better judgment, the commentators do not know either.
Yeah, so just like you, chat, we are going to be in the dark. And in addition to the two of us being in the dark, the runners are also going to be in the dark. So you might be able to see it on Poydrak and Gambit's screens, our featured runners this evening, that there is a cutoff word at the bottom which says hidden. All the runners know is that they have Rosa and they have 5 objectives. That's all they're going to get to start with. Everything else they have to figure out from there. Whether it be glitches, maximum party sizes, the types of objectives required. Do they need all of them? Do they need some of them? All of that is going to be a mystery that they will be able to figure out along the way, and we will get to play detectives with them. So, Bad Karma, what are you looking forward to most to start this bad boy off?
I hope that our runners do not go too quickly during the guiding way section, because that will tell us if it is completion or if we're going to be fighting Zeromus tonight, and how many objectives are going to be needed.
Yeah, that will tell us going through that initial start where it lists the objectives, whether it is win game or win crystal. Now, there is actually a set weight for that, oddly enough, in the bot as well. So depending on who sets the bot up, now in this case it was Poydrak, O-Win Game is on 1/3 of the time. O-Win Crystal is on 2/3 of the time. So we don't know, and hopefully the runners check it so they know, because it is an entirely different experience preparing for Zeromus versus just preparing to win the game.
And as chat has already pointed out, a couple of things that we're not going to know about: permadead, permadeader are in the weighted flags. That is a staple of the Slapdash, and whether or not there's no free bosses is another good one that you're not going to know until you run into those dark imps somewhere rude and try to use a coffin on them.
Yeah, and when that coffin fails, you just keep getting punched in the face, and usually you perish because of it. Not the best experience, and can confirm 10 out of 10 it is not a good one, and don't recommend it to anybody.
A couple other interesting things to be looking out for. We don't know what our treasure and shops levels are until we get going. Our shop's free. Our shop's only cabins. Are we going to have any treasure to loot? Because it could roll T-sparse 0 or 10. So all these options have been available that could be rolled into the seed, and we're just going to have a time working through this with you guys, chat.
Yeah, lots of really interesting things. Vanilla EXP share, to answer a question from chat, is not in the pool, thankfully. So that is one that we won't have to worry about. Now let's talk about what the runners do know they have to do, though. We have the Forge. We have completing the Giant of Babel, defeating the Water Hag, waking Yang with a pan, and completing Mount Ordeals. So I'm particularly interested in the first two. How about you, Bad Karma?
Yeah, the Forge and the Giant are two staples of a lot of events. They are some difficult objectives, with two key items and needing to get underground for the Forge. The Giant can have two very nasty bosses. I believe in last night's Legacy race, that was a required Wyvern in the Elements spot.
There was, with vanilla agility on, I believe, which is an unpleasant experience, to say the least.
And it had Witchburn, and it cast fast on itself.
Yeah, as if Wyvern wasn't bad enough. Oh, hey, by the way, we're going to go quick. Looks like we get a Tella, a Pan, which is required, a Sylph Summon, and either Rubicant or the Elements boss. But that Pan is huge for our runners.
Yeah, that is a required item, and one thing to note too is with the new flag set and the new patch, we have numerous extra starter kits, and Poydrek has chosen to all the starter kits that our players get are random.
That is correct. Have some random stuff and enjoy and see what you can do. Complete all objectives to win the crystal. So all 5 required and Zeromus required. So strap in, folks. We could be in for a doozy, and we're going to get some immediate testing from our runners. Gambit is testing out that you can run from encounters and that encounters are on. Poydrek looks like they're doing the same.
Could be possibly going to be doing some dupe glitching or attempting to.
And looks like in addition to possible dupe testing, the life glitch might be on, or Tella might have just missed. Tough to say at this stage.
This is a lot of good info to have. All the glitches are available to be used, so figuring out what you can and can't do with these glitches is good information, as it looks like we are getting a healthy dose of treasure chests.
Yeah, and J items are also on. It did look like, so experience from random encounters are on. Hourglass 1 and Star Veils in shops. So that is going to be wild, I believe, because you can't get Hourglass 1s from any other distribution. And Poydrek is talking to Rose's mom.
It's trying to figure out if K-Trap is on.
Doesn't look like it, but Mist Dragon was mentioned, so that tells me that D-Mist is on. Yep. So in addition, we have a D-Mist hunt. So this is spicy.
No free characters. Yeah, as chat's pointing out, just K main. There was no summon monster spots or moon locations mentioned when talking to Rose's mom.
Yep, and it did look like there was an empty chest in that waterfall, so I don't believe we're on full treasure chest. We're probably on sparse 70 to 90, if I had to guess, at this early stage.
Yeah, it definitely feels like a higher 80 or 90 so far.
This is really interesting to figure out on the fly, though, with y'all. So, I thank you, chat, for playing along. And huge thank you to Alchemy, our tracker, who has the unenviable task of trying to figure out along with us what's going on and also keep composure enough to press all those buttons. Thank you also to Solaris behind the stream, for making sure we're able to bring you this fantastic showcase.
Just saw a ninja shirt. That leads me to think that this is probably a T Wildish or a T Wild.
Yeah, it would be very unlikely on T-Pro to see a Tier 5 item like that just show up. It's possible, but it would be very uncommon. Also seeing a Blizzard Spear and a Rune Axe, T-Wildish seems like a really good assessment there.
So one unknown that's a new flag within the 4.2 update is a flag that limits whether or not tier 7 loot can be in a chest. It means that the highest tier possible in an untrapped chest is tier 6. We don't know if that is on or not.
That is absolutely true. So, and that's going to be a particularly difficult one to find out, because tier 7 weaponry doesn't just show up every day.
It would be interesting to see if either of these two runners will head to Eblan Castle. That has a really good chance of getting some, tier 7 loot just sitting in a chest. I know we've pulled crystal swords and stuff on T Wildish out of there before.
Yeah, definitely could be. You can get some incredible stuff from Castle Eblan. You can also take a peek and see if it's vanilla trap chests, so you can loot with impunity anywhere else within that cave, within that castle, or other castles.
The question in chat, yes, you can still get tier 7 loot from trap chests. That would be the only way outside of objectives that you'd be able to get it.
Well, or the pink tail if adamants are on.
Which we don't know if adamants are even on.
That is also true. We hope for the runner's sake they are on. We hope for our enjoyment of their potential misery that adamants are not on. But, it could go either way. Well, there's more proof S Wild is on if you wanted an Excalibur in the Kaipo shop. There it is.
Solidiful, if you talk to Rose's mom in Baron, she will give you hints on where the key items are, and no trap chests were mentioned when our runners went and talked to her.
And it looks like we have Rydia up on the mountain, so we know at a minimum C Distinct 3 is on, because that would be 3 different characters. And I did not, unfortunately, catch who was in bed in Kaipo, but I'm sure we will find that out shortly. It also does look like we have the guards, and they should be perishing fairly quickly.
Slimful, yes, it can happen for key items to be in trap chests.
Yes, the key items can be in trap chests. It will be on 25% of the time.
Gambit took a wipe there. I don't know if Gambit tried to use an hourglass. It looks like we're going to see this from Poydrak, possibly.
One thing I would use this fight to test out for personally would be permadead. I would intentionally off Rydia because she's only got 30 health, and then I would just take a wipe, basically kill my own, or win the fight. I would want to establish in some way that permadead is off, because that is a huge piece of information to know for things like anchoring, along with other purposes. But that permadead flag would be incredibly important.
Same with the no free bosses. This is a really good spot to get Baron guards, just True. Because while our runners are trying to figure this out and are testing a couple of different things, being able to see if free bosses is on, this is a good spot to do that.
Yeah, one thing that does incentivize the runners to keep trying to get that Rydia, though, is they did pick up that Sylph summon in the starter kit. So if ever you needed early game damage and you don't have it, that's your girl right there. Rydia will get the job done with Sylph, and will do healing for you as well.
Another flag that could interesting be on or off, though, is the Sylph glitch. That is a toggleable flag within this within these presets that maybe you get some free Sylph summons, maybe you don't.
Yeah, and that Sylph summon will only be on 60% of the time. So it's a lot closer to a 50-50 than one might expect. But that is the true nature of the Slapdash, is anything can go.
It doesn't look like S-Quarter's on for sure, because I believe Gambit just sold that cat claw for about 15,000.
Yeah, because cat claws you would normally buy for 30. So that would make sense. They would sell for 15. So that math checks out.
Did see some mass immunities for sale if we find an edge and you're pretty flush with cash.
Yeah, Excals, Masamunes, lots of really good stuff in shops. Poydrak getting a couple coffins from Kaipo. we are likely going to find out a little more about those free bosses or potential free boss flags.
Lord Grouper, I don't think we've been into anybody's inventory to see if Sineki is on.
Yeah, no, I don't believe we've had that chance, but if we were to get it, it would come from probably Poydrak's side, because I think he did have Medusa arrows that he could try to put on Rosa. I don't know if Gambit got the Medusa arrows. But Gambit does have Iridia now, and does have access to Sylph, which will be a very good thing.
And let's see if free bosses are on.
Looks good. And still no permadeader, or excuse me, permadead or permadeader check yet. Not that they'd be able to check permadeader, but it'd be interesting to see again if anyone tries to take that as part of their random encounters coming up soon to figure that out. Asura, speaking of more healing for Iridia, Gambit's Iridia now has Asura and Sylph.
So that's one flag that's definitely not on, and the vanilla Hobbs flag.
That is correct. No fire one, so we'll have to rely on Tella for all our fire. And this is definitely Sineki, but starting with a change rod for Iridia is actually a big deal. That's pretty fantastic.
That is a huge start off for her.
That's immediate +5 wisdom, and there's a heroine robe on the backside of Mount Hobbs. That's also a fantastic pickup. That's a lot of agility. That's a lot of defense. That's a way to make. In this case, it would be Rosa, warrior princess Rosa.
Just needs to find a good bow, and with these S Wild flags, not going to be hard to do that.
Yeah, I might be inclined to go shopping if I were on either runner's side. I know they have Sylph, but you're going to want to get that Rosa up and running, and a heroine robe may do more and will do it quicker even than Sylph because of the animation delay. Or in Gambit's side, just use that power staff he just picked up. Power staff heroine robe, Rosa will do a lot of damage.
But with the Sineki flag on, Rosa doesn't start off back row glitched, so still needs to find a bow and arrow just to get her to be swinging hard from the back row.
Well, with the heroine robe on early, though, you don't need her in the back row. She's not going to take any physical damage up front, so thankfully that does kind of mitigate that concern. Ogre axes for sale in Fabul, along with apples. So if our runners get all of the money in the world, they technically don't have to grind.
With the loot the way it is so far, money may not be an issue too much longer.
Yeah. Now the other question is, has either runner tried to do any sort of duplication glitch that we've seen?
I think Gambit tried to dupe a staff earlier, but I don't know if he was just trying to see if he had, something better than the staff, or if he was trying for a dupe.
Gotcha. So if dupes were on, having apples there would basically turn this into a glorified apple seed. So it's kind of a good thing. The runners will be much more challenged this way. And looks like Poydrak is getting through the officer-soldier fight in Fabul, and Gambit has found the freest of bosses in Antlion Cave, where I promise you he did not want to find them.
Man, that is 3 bosses in the 3 easiest checks that our runners could probably be doing right now.
Yeah, that is true. That's not what you want to see as a runner. You want to save those freebies for much later on, especially with a required giant.
And that's a required for bull defense, though. Poydrek just got an adamant.
Yeah, that adamant rock will help to get the forge going. Now, I didn't catch whether it was classic forge or not. I'm going to assume it wasn't. But that will also reward with an Excalibur should there be a Cecil or even an Edge to dart it. And also a Rat Tail from Gambit's side.
With K-Main being on, that Rat Tail is still going to be an important check to make once we find that hook.
Absolutely. And I expect our runners are going to start kind of walking back over each other's paths at this point. So what are kind of the next things that you would be looking to do in this situation, Bad Karma? Would you be trying to make an Ordeals play like Gambit, or would you be looking for maybe a Baron in check for another character? What would kind of be your pathing from here?
I probably would have checked the shops at least to maybe find bows and arrows. The power staff is great, don't get me wrong, but I definitely trust some Rosa having those elemental arrows. But going up Ordeals would definitely be my next stop. That's 3 boss checks for looking for the Water Hag, and it's an objective in and of itself.
Yeah, 3 boss checks, fairly easy generally. The first spot is usually extremely easy. The back attack spot could be messy, but Sylph helps mitigate that a little bit. So it's definitely a good check. Hopefully it's not too slow on Gambit's side, and he's able to get through this expeditiously.
Sylph will really help speed it up depending on which bosses we run into. We've got a Lunar Sparkle though.
Yeah, these are not going to punch hard because this is the lowest physical attack in the game. A little awkward because they are going to counter that Sylph summon with Remedy, which is going to heal them for a small amount. But hopefully Gambit's able to get through this without having to use a Star Veil or something like that. And yeah, 950 from the Sylph and only about 130 on the Remedy, so not much of a concern.
That's a trade I'll take. Also, I just noticed we don't have J abilities on.
That is true. We do have walls up on the dragons, though, and that is not particularly ideal, because the viruses will one-shot anyone here. And Rosa is down. Hopefully Gambit's able to clutch this one out.
It's got to get at least 2 Sylphs off.
Yeah, 2 Sylphs or some Miracle Cure 2s in there.
Well, with Reflect, you can't direct cast them. You're going to have to chuck potions.
Right. Looks like we are getting Poydrak kind of going back through, doing a little extra looting and shopping in Silvera. And looks like Gambit is going to get through these D-Lunars, so good recovery there after triggering that virus script.
Nicely done by Gambit there to get through that. That is, D-Lunars is definitely one fight that I can't stand no matter where they show up.
Yeah, they're not, too bad if you know how to work around them, but as soon as you trigger something like that virus script, that's when they get scary. Speaking of kind of scary things, the vampire from the Spygan is actually going to be pretty scary. The physical attacks won't be too bad, especially on Rosa. But yeah, those vampires, if the arm gets the vampire off, are going to be scary here.
This would probably be a spot I would probably burn that Grimoire.
Yeah, well, I don't know if that's quite what you want, more Sylph, but it is a higher powered Sylph at least. So Gambit is guaranteed through this now. Might take some explosions from the arms, but he's going to get through.
And Poydrak is thinking the same as Gambit, making the climb up the mountain.
And Gambit is through. We'll see if he takes a save. I don't believe he saved in between the first and second bosses there. So yeah, looks like he is going to do the prudent thing and take a save after both of those being out of the way now.
Decided to just, use his own name as a strategy and make that Gambit in between two boxes.
Absolutely. And Poydrak showing off the power of early Cure 3s by simply using them on D-Lunars and making them disappear in record time. And ooh, that's a spoon.
Another flag we don't know if it's on is the spoon flag, since we have not seen Edward yet.
Yeah, no idea whether he can equip it. No idea really what the spoon is good for right now, other than adding 1 to the key item count. Looks like that French Vanilla Mylon Z has come and gone, and Gambit is our first runner on Restream to get through this required 5th objective of completing Mount Ordeals.
Still going to be hunting for that water hag. Still got a couple of key items. We got to get underground. We got to get to the moon for the giant.
Yeah, just because this one objective is done does not mean our runners are anywhere near the finish line yet. That giant in particular, given some of the bosses we've seen already, and that Mylon Z is another one of those pseudo-free bosses. That's a lot of easy stuff off the table. Even D-Lunars is basically a free boss, because you can veil it and cheese it, and turn them into lunar frogs when they use their breath attack. So basically every boss, with the exception of Baigen that we have seen so far, is free in some way or another.
That does not bode well for our runners later on. I mean, I'm thinking Kanatsu at Elements. Ogo Pogo at Elements.
That's all very not nice. Looks like Gambit is taking a check with Bedward, no free item. We figured that out courtesy of Poydrak talking to Rose's mom, but Gambit did not do the check for Rose's mom. Gambit may be checking vanilla traps here by going up to Zot. So he may open this first chest and the second chest to try to figure out, is it going to be the flame dog in the second chest? And if so, maybe vanilla trap chests are on.
Yeah, vanilla traps is going to be really interesting to find out. That makes Evelyn Castle... Ooh.
Could be.
Could be. That makes Evelyn Castle the only thing that could still be, there's only 5 chests in Zot. So you have a 1 in 5 chance of that actually being vanilla trap.
Yeah.
I wouldn't trust that it's vanilla trap until I would maybe check Evelyn or Sylph Cave.
Yeah, it would still incentivize me to go loot Evelyn, because you can get a lot of tier 6 items just laying around there. And there's one particular tier 6 item with which this party would love to have, and that's a Stardust Rod or 2. And you can just get them willy-nilly floating around that Evelyn Castle.
Stardust Rod, Sorcerer Robes, Black Robes, anything to get this party some offensive and some defensive power, since they all started off with no gear.
Absolutely. Something our runners are going to be happy to see, though, is an evil wall in the waterfall. So that is one thing they will not have to worry about at a much ruder spot later on.
We still don't know if this is a hook route. The evil wall at the King-Queen spot has stymied many a runner.
Oh, another free boss.
Wow.
Dark Imps in the Mist Cave. So there is not a lot left for free bosses for our runners, and we are less than half an hour into this.
The only free boss left, I think, is our objective, the Water Hag.
This boss distribution is something else. I think some folks might end up having words with Poydrak's manager after this.
Hey, he said it in the race room. This is all 100% blame Poydrak. Speaking of, he is doing some more shopping. Found some black robes for sale in Agert.
And also Bahamut was for sale. So if our runners so choose, the King of Dragons is available for the small summoner child.
Solidiful, it is all 5 objectives at the start. Guiding Way gives a lot of information that we got used to just people skipping it as fast as possible. I've done a couple of mystery asyncs where I did that and missed how it was a set number of objectives and if it was Wan or Crystal. So we do know all 5 are required, and we will be fighting Zeromus.
And we know Excaliburs are in a shop. We see a Cecil, and we have Dark Elf, which is also relatively free. So yet another boss you would have loved to see somewhere else.
This is going to be one of the rudest moons, and we don't have to fight a single one of them.
Yeah, but that giant. But this Dark Elf is not long for this world. So after a bit of divergence, our runners have kind of come back together. Poydrak is up and adamant, but not up by much more than that at this point. And looks like Gambit is our first runner to see Derek Mist.
Not going to be hunting for this Misty Dragon tonight.
And I wonder if this is where our underground access is going to come from. Now, one of the other things that our runners did not check, and this becomes particularly interesting with Cecil, is if you are to get rid of him or another character, can you get them back in the Tower of Wishes?
We haven't been given the option to get rid of somebody yet. They've all just kind of auto-filled into the party.
That is true. I was thinking of permajoin for some reason, but we are not of the permajoin mindset this evening.
Question chat from Kryuji. With the K main flag, we figured from Rose's mom, there's no reward key items that are going to be rewarded from the summon or from the moon. So the legend sword is going to be on one of the main checks.
And there is our likely source of underground access in the hook. One of the fun parts is you get a Cecil to go along with it. So if vanilla agility is on, plus a hook route, this could get pretty spicy. If vanilla agility is off, it's a little less spicy, but could still be unpleasant. Either way, hook route.
Yeah. I would be checking the D-Miss, which both runners look to be doing, and that rat tail before committing to that.
Absolutely. Anything I can do. I also might have considered a rune ring there for Rydia. That's a tough one to say 5 times fast. And just in case you didn't have an Excalibur in hand from a store, you now can get one by forging and completing your first objective.
That's a pretty free first objective, all things considered. You get the Adamant from Vabul, get the Excal from Baron Inn.
Yeah, not bad. You just have to get through the hook to get there. And looks like Poydrak is headed back to the town of Kaipo. And he is going to be selling a bunch of stuff, it looks like.
Seeing the hook route ahead of him, he's selling for an Excal. Doesn't want to wait for the free one.
Yeah, I was trying to think if the Excal was here, and that's what I thought he was doing. So he's got another 80,000 to go, because I think they're 190.
Yeah, he's probably gonna come up short here. I think the ninja jammies and the rune axe both have to go if he wants to get that Excal.
I think I would try to just sell the ninja and the earth hammer. I think I'd try to keep that rune axe. But meanwhile, while Poydrak is figuring out how he wants to best go about getting this Excalibur, Gambit is taking the dive, going through the hook route, and he's going to potentially find out a little more information that we don't already know. Additionally, Gambit has done that flame dog check. So Gambit does have an inkling that vanilla trap chests are on. So he may be looting here as well. And we may be able to find out some more information. There's a free crystal armor, great for cover strats. He may be giving us a lot more information and getting a lot more out of this than Poydrak would, just simply because of having done that flame dog check.
Yeah, it also picked up the tower key from the rat tail, so knows that could get through this and just drop down, and that's an easy boss at the top. That's 2 easy checks.
Absolutely. The boss at the top of the tower, definitely not the worst, but just has a lot of health. So the big difference, though, is going to be by fading Fabul, Gambit is going to not have access to an immediate Excalibur, which could be a huge difference compared to Poydrak as far as underground routing goes.
Yeah, but I believe Poydrak is... Did Poydrak finish selling the farm to get that Excal?
I believe he did. I was honestly focused on Gambit's screen a little more. Not
Same.
gonna lie, but I think he did.
Found an elven bow in the shop, so now all these characters who have been waiting for a bow for so long, finally going to be able to get start shooting some arrows. Cecil's going to be back row glitched. Rosa will be back row glitched.
Yeah, at this point, you basically have Rosa, if she has the levels, or if not, you have Tella do it. Cast Berserk on her, and let her be your source of damage, and that's Warrior Princess Rosa in a nutshell. She is a self-facilitating queen of damage.
Yeah, Elven Bow, Charm Arrows combo. Ooh, there's an Odin summon. Not that we'll have any bosses that will be too useful for.
Yeah, not a whole lot left for that, but could make use of them maybe with like a gold dragons on the moon. Oddly enough, Odin works on them for some reason unbeknownst to me. Because you can't cough in them. It's really weird. Final Fantasy IV is a weird game.
It's a well-programmed game.
Good point. Well programmed. No rubber bands and duct tape holding it together. None at all.
If I don't see it, they don't exist.
Works for me. There's a free Soma drop if Gambit didn't purchase one, which is nice for Tella.
He did just actually buy one, but Poydrak will be looking for that.
Ooh, now that's something I didn't happen to catch earlier in the shops. There's a glass hat. Glass hat is an incredibly valuable piece of gear from a defensive standpoint. It basically gives 30 physical defense to any character, which, especially in the case of this Cecil, if you can just slap, a glass hat on him with the Excal and get him zerked, he probably takes no physical damage from the back row, and you can just put the controller down. Now, speaking of putting the controller down, if that's Ogo Pogo, and this is vanilla agility, our runners are going to want to put the controller down and walk away from the game.
And we are going to find out if C-Dupe is on.
That is true. Second Rydia? Question mark? No dupes.
And Gambit went through all of the cave without finding the stalemain, so that pretty much confirms that vanilla traps are on too.
Yep, which means he can also loot here. Might even opt to take the Mad Ogre chest if he wants to get a little bit of experience, since they can be sized as the primary method of making them more or less free.
Yeah, I would probably take it, and the reason being just because you have a base level Cecil. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think Gambit, Poydrak checking the Staleman, Gambit checking the Mad Ogres here. It's incredibly unlikely at this point that Vanilla Traps is not on. So you saw Gambit gearing up as if he knew this was going to be the Mad Ogre fight. Unfortunately for him, Tella immediately ate a punch and took a nap.
So a couple interesting flags we still don't know about, we won't know for a while, is if we get slingshot ability for our characters, and if we get bonus XP for having 10 key items.
We also don't know, are there more than these 4 characters?
Yes, we don't know. and with no dupes on.
There's a whole lot we don't know. So it's very entertaining to try to figure all this out on the fly. And chat, we hope you're having as much fun with this as we are.
And while we're going through this Mad Ogre fight, looks like Poydrak is heading that way as well. Do want to do a quick shout out to our restreamer Solaris and to Alchemy for doing the tracking. If you've been watching and having a good time, please join the Discord. We do actually have our spring event coming up. The Lally Ho League will be starting in March. Signups are available if you would like to join in. It is available for anybody to sign up. I'm actually entering. I did not enter in Highway to the Dreaming Zone. I'm entering. So come out, join the competition, see where you are. It's all for fun. So the more the merrier, I say.
And one of the best new parts about the Lally Ho League is that there is a boot camp, if you will, kind of a mentor-student type program from my understanding, where if you're a newer runner, if you want to learn how to, stream, if you want to learn how to play, if you want to learn how to do all the things that the amazing runners you see on your screen tonight are doing, that's something that's coming as well and something that's going to be in the works. So if you're a little bit, maybe wavering or on the fence about if you want to take the dive into this game or if you want to take the dive into tournament play, definitely consider it. There has never been a better time than now.
Yep, and Gambit is through. Poydrak is starting. And we're going to see who's this King Queen Evelyn, see how rude this hook route is to our runners.
Have we seen DKC yet? The Pain Man himself?
We have not.
Just asking for a friend.
I've never wanted a commentator's curse to happen so badly right now.
Well, I think because I ask for it, it can't happen, right? There's no way this is going to be Dark Knight Cecil into Ogopogo on the hook route for the very first Sunday Slapdash with the Tricker bot. There's no way that that's going to happen.
Honestly, I will just be shocked if it doesn't happen.
I have a feeling that there'd be some people calling my manager if that were to happen at this point. That would not be nice, especially if Vanilla Agility were on.
We've seen a couple of fights. I'm not sure if it's still hard to determine, especially for. Oh.
That's awkward. It's not super difficult, but it's really awkward. A little bit of an alt gauntlet on the hook route.
Bill Raids also just said something that I realized is a flag that be unsafe could be on. This could actually be a wyvern.
That is true. It could be. Didn't even think of the unsafe flags and how they would impact things, but that is definitely one that would be pretty yikes. It's only on 20% of the time, but this would be a really nasty 20%.
Yeah, Gauntlet into Wyvern. Oh my goodness.
Looks like we're getting some random encounters on Poydrak's side. He's looking for some more experience. For Gambit going through this gauntlet, the gauntlet itself is not too bad here, especially with that Warrior Princess Rosa. The only potential real scary fight, because you're able to exploit the mage weaknesses here, is the last fight, the Green Dragon fight. Now, if it's not getting one shot, it can do some pretty serious damage to your party.
Yeah, and Poydrak's actually going through the gauntlet too.
Oh, is he? That's my fault. I thought he was taking random encounters, but I guess they all look the same.
Yeah, Gambit actually reset out for some reason. May have had equipment and they wanted to switch around, but now they're neck and neck, it looks like.
And this is where we get to see Warrior Princess Rosa versus Ex-Scout Cecil. So this is a good little battle, but unfortunately it looks like that Rosa got charmed, and that's not ideal.
I thought that's what you meant, you know, enemy Rosa versus Ex-Scout Cecil, but I don't
Rosa,
think.
Stop.
With that heroin robe.
The poor child. That's the closest thing to a 360 no-scope that I've seen in this game.
Alchemy, I believe Poydrak did actually. I saw him raise the hovercraft. Maybe. He did have to raise the hovercraft to get here.
And looks like we have Poydrak on to, I believe this is fight 4. And then next fight will be that last fight, the Egg, the Green Dragon. Thankfully, we know that Permadead is off because that Sniped Iridia did not turn into a pile of dust on the ground. So that's good. And welcome to everyone from Asuka424's stream. We are learning all the different flags along with the rest of chat, along with runners, along with our restreamers and behind the scenes folks, as this is the first mystery race for the Sunday Slapdash.
Yeah, and some of the flags we do know. We do know that we are required 5, and we get a crystal after doing all 5 objectives. We know that S Wild is on, and you get full price for things that you sell. We suspect T Wildish for treasure, and it looks like either an 80 or a 90 sparse.
Yeah, definitely a high percentage sparse, and it also looks like we have, as Sorbius has pointed out in chat, the Alt Gauntlet flag is on, so very astute observation that we all missed. But we also have Poydrak saving because we know there's a Sparkle and we don't know that Be Unsafe is off. So worst possible nightmare would be Vanilla Agility Wyvern here with Unsafe on, and oh my goodness, that would be a nightmare. So it would be entertaining, but it would be a nightmare.
Interesting, Poydrak's throwing the fire armor on because I believe Ogopogo's Blaze, isn't that an ice attack?
Yeah, I think Blaze actually is an ice attack. I believe you are correct in that. It also, I know it does 25% base damage, but I think it's reduced to 10 if you have damage reduction for it. I think that's how the percentages drop out. Oh, what a letdown.
We tried to will it into existence, and the game just wasn't gonna let us.
Yeah, well, let's hope that we can get like a 65,000 HP Ogopogo then, and that like no sirens are on, so our runners have to struggle a little.
Yeah, we haven't seen any sirens in these shops. We found a few, but not very many.
Yeah, now one thing about this plague here, a nice little cheese that our runners can do, and Poydrak may be starting to do this, is to just zerk up a character or two, and you can basically put the controller down, and you don't have to worry about anything from there. Now, in this case, though, it looks like he's opting for the recount by bringing Tella back up to life, so he can get the extra cast from Plague to get the 10 count back on his characters.
The question in chat from Lady SSJ, I don't think it's been very hard to determine because of that heroin rope if we have vanilla agility on or not. And also for Bill Reigns, unfortunately, if Wyvern's in the Fey March, he's not going to block progression because we know that the K summon and the K moon flags are off.
Yeah, the easiest way to test if vanilla agility were on in this case would be party orientation. But again, to everyone's point so far, we haven't seen the right party setups to warrant knowing based on party position so far. And Poydrak is through that plague already. So going to be underground in about 46 minutes, which is a very respectable time.
For a hook route, that's what I try to shoot for.
Yeah, it's that was really putting that Excalibur to use, where Gambit is going to be leaning more into Warrior Princess Rosa and Sylph. Excal doing 2k a hit with very minimal animations versus Rosa doing 1200 a hit. There's a little bit of a difference there, also with the longer animations. We have a blue robe at the top of the tower, and we know what that means.
That is objective number 3, just waiting at the top of the tower.
So our runners have the pan. They know where Water Hag is, or Gambit will know soon. Poydrak knows now. Poydrak can forge, so as soon as Poydrak finds the Darkness Crystal, they are technically in go mode.
You are technically correct.
Which is the best kind of correct.
Correction, the only kind of correct.
Very valid point, I'll take it. And looks like Gambit is doing the Zerk trick where just make sure everyone's berserked, and Plague is never going to be able to resolve the count hitting 0. So this is a nice way for those at home who may not have seen this strat before to cheese Plague, is just get everyone berserked and kind of set the controller down or hit the fight command, and you never have to worry about it.
Now, I believe one of the requirements is an RA1, relative agility 1, for this to occur. I think there's agility shenanigans that need to be done for this.
There's a lot fewer that need to be done when you have someone who's RA1, just simply because of how clogged they get the queue. But it can be done with basically any agility situation, as long as you have enough people clogging the queue, just taking all the actions before the count resolves. I won't get into the full details of it, but the further off from RA1 you are, the more berserkers you need to make it work, essentially.
Now, what will be interesting, I think we've determined that Poydrak has not gone to turn in the rat tail yet. If the tower key gives the darkness crystal.
Yeah, if the tower key gives the darkness crystal, advantage Gambit. But at that same time, Gambit's not going to get that adamant until he does a much more exhaustive underground loop. So I don't feel like either runner has much of an advantage right now. I think they're extremely close. Yes, Poydrak is up a water hag check, but that tower key, that could have, the keys to the kingdom. And there's a sand ruby. But that is also objective number 3 down for Poydrak. So that gives Poydrak objectives 3 and 5. And I assume we will be seeing objective 1 marked off as soon as Poydrak makes their way over to Kokol's Forge.
And objective 4 is right next door.
That is true, Waking Yang with the pan. Now, I will say one of the interesting things about having S Wild on and also forging is this, if Poydrak checks it, will be the saddest forge shop that you will ever see. A lot of the time you end up with things like 4 tier 1 and 2 items in there, and it's just awful.
Yeah, unfortunately, some of the allure of the Kokol shop is taken away with S Wild, but we've seen a number of things, and we still have not seen our 3 underground shops.
Yeah, it looks like Poydrak is headed straight into Sylph Cave, going to take out that pan objective right now. And then we'll get those shop checks, I assume, on his loop back towards the Forge.
Yeah, as our tracker alchemy is pointing out, do your freebies, do your objectives. That is one of the fastest ways to success in free enterprise.
Absolutely. I can confirm I have both won and lost races because of that. So make sure you check them. Now, one interesting thing about this Waking Yang with the pan is this is technically considered a summon check, because that is where you would normally get the Sylph summon. So that will never give a key item in this case, but it at least gives an apple, which could be nice for that Rydia, thinking long term, since her HP growth is going to be minimal.
Yep, and going to be heading down to the Fey March, still following the mantra, do the freebies. We know Kokol is not going to give us a key item when we forge, so wanting to see if we can find this Darkness Crystal in the Fey March.
Yeah, definitely a good looping check here to get the key item check, probably check the shops as well. Looking for sirens does become kind of important at this point, simply because we are nearing go mode. Poydrak knows that based on the fact that he's a Darkness Crystal away.
Yeah, on top of, maybe wanting to find a 5th character, we also don't know that one of the other new additions to 4.2, max party size, could be 4 characters.
Yeah, it could be max 4, it could be distinct 4. There's a lot of things floating around here that we just don't know yet. It will also be interesting to see if Poydrak ends up routing in this Baron key that he picked up. Because it is only 1 check. Now, there's some important items, both crystal and cursed rings. That's 2 fantastic pieces of jewelry for very different reasons for your team. Cursed ring takes care of that agility anchoring situation, even with Cecil. And the crystal rings give fantastic defensive capabilities and a bonus to agility. And we have a bicycle mechanic for our job dwarf this evening.
Yeah, and one to go along with the job dwarf, one other flag that we do need to keep an eye on. I know Poydrak has been checking a lot of shops. The pass could be in one of these shops.
The pass could be in a shop. The pass could be in a chest. The pass could be in a key item location. It could be any 2 of the 3. It could be 3 of 3. That's one interesting thing about the mystery flags also, is we don't know where the pass is. And in fact, it could just be off entirely.
Gambit's going to be giving us a look here and see what this tower key gives us.
And that is actually a surprisingly good forge shop with soma drops and elixirs. That's pretty fantastic for a forge shop on S Wild. Full disclosure. But is classic forge, so no free excal.
I apologize for the cat-sounding child that was in my background.
I mean, we're having fun here. There's no reason the kids can't have fun either.
Oh no, they're just upset it's bedtime.
Well, I mean, they're kids. They're always going to be upset about bedtime. That's what kids do. They'll get over it, though. Probably by tomorrow morning.
Very quickly they will. And that is the last shop.
So that means possibly any number of things. Also, Gambit got a magma key from the tower key. So, hey, you can get underground now. But as far as not having the sirens, it could mean no sirens is on. It could mean they're on the moon. It could mean they just didn't make the cut. Or no, on S Wild, I believe they would be guaranteed somewhere. Hard to keep track of all that, but
I just check everywhere till I see them. Oh, hello, Gomez.
Yeah, this is a surprisingly rude spot, actually, for Golbez. The magic here is higher than one might think. Given that his vanilla location, which is right next door to this, has very low magic, the dolls have fairly high magic, so that Calbrena can actually hit the glance and other things.
I believe somebody once told me that Calbrena has a hidden Inferno counter for something, because you wouldn't have anybody that could cast magic on Cal to get that, but still had it in the repertoire.
I wouldn't be surprised. There's some really weird hidden counters and other things in this game that make no sense from a post-vanilla standpoint, and make even less sense from a vanilla standpoint.
Gambit is going to go do the Sheila checks and will also be getting his adamant from the Fabul Defense.
Yeah, and I expect he will go straight down to complete that forge, expecting to get an excal, and then be disappointed when he doesn't get an excal, since he has not purchased one yet.
Realizing he will have to shell out the 190,000.
Which, to be honest, is still a very sound investment.
But with all the loot that we have found, is he gonna? Oh, he's buying apples with that excal money.
No, he was thinking about it.
I was thinking about it.
And yeah, there's a fire too doing 600, but this Golbez is down. Tell is the only party member not to get experience, which is fine. Scary boss is at the next spot. The worst would probably be Ogo Pogo, because it would just leave Cecil up. But he would get through it. And
yeah, anything that would just rely on magic is not a threat here. Oh, hello, Leviathan.
Yeah, this will knock out Rydia yet again. Oh, we have a Sid.
So that answers a couple questions. We can get 5 party members, and there's at least 5 distinct.
And 2 of them are Cecil and Rosa, so the seed is ultimately free. Possibly. depending on the giant. But it looks like Poydrak's going to have no problem with this Leviathan here, getting the party cured up. Rosa already having a Cure 3. Cecil taking all of 31 damage from an Ice 2. And Rydia taking out Leviathan. Now, it will be interesting to see the next little glitch. Is Poydrak going to attempt the warp glitch and see if that's on for us?
Oh, you 100% check if that's on.
Oh, I absolutely agree. And Gambit going and doing a little more looting. And going to hop up to Sheila, do the Sheila 1 and 2 checks. We have a Luca key. And we have an Earth Crystal.
Ooh. And that was a pink tail for Poydrak from Luca.
And a Vanilla Darkness Crystal. So Poydrak is in go mode.
Oh!
And conveniently, that is exactly 10 key items. So we also get to find out if the no key bonus is on. If he only gets regular experience, the 102,500 from the giant instead of the 205 for the 10 key item bonus. But Poydrak playing really well, routing through this siege, just doing a masterful job of getting through everything efficiently.
Now, here's one question. It looks like he's probably going to go answer it. Going to turn in that pink tail, maybe for an adamant?
Yeah, we'll find out shortly. It's either going to be an adamant armor or some random tier 7 piece of gear. So if it's not an adamant, you hope for a crystal sword or an avenger in that order. And then from there, it doesn't super matter what else it would be, but it looks like it's a white shirt. So no adamants, but a decent piece of gear for Rosa at least.
For whenever she wants to stop murdering things with her bow and arrow.
Yeah, which will probably be exactly Zeromus. Maybe the Giant of Babel, depending how this goes. Now, one interesting thing will be to see if Poydrak opts to do any sort of grind. With the new flags that have been added, there is a chance of Vanilla Giant being on, which can make grinding a little awkward. And I apologize if I spoke over the Rate That Treasury tune. I don't know if we have it this evening. But I hope that treasury was decent. I only caught the back end of it, and it didn't look great.
Yeah, that is probably a way to sum that up.
I guess that's going to be apples out of 10.
Solaris, I'm not going to be humming anything.
I'm playing it in my head right now. It's glorious. And Gambit about to get the good news that his first objective is going to be complete. However, Gambit also going to get the bad news that he's not going to get a shiny Pokey Stick for his Paladin.
Gotta sell the farm to get the goods.
So this becomes interesting. Vanilla Giant appears to be on.
I suspect we will be seeing a Poydrak be doing a D-Machine very, very quickly.
Well, you would want to check the boss first. And I hope he also said I hope he also saved before coming up here. Because with Vanilla Giant, once you go in, you don't go out. So if you want to get back out, you need to reset to a save.
I don't think Poydrak plans to leave here without those 2 bosses down.
I don't think so either, but I want to make sure he's set up for this. That he has 2 elixirs, he has 5 ether 1, so that should be sufficient. Now, if the XP boost is not on for 10 key items, though, that may or may not be enough, because you got to do a whole lot of D machines to get that Rydia to nuke in particular. She needs 1 million XP to get nuke.
Yeah, and the question in chat, we do know that you can get XP for random encounters.
But we're about to learn a whole lot from Poydrak's side. I am a little bit surprised that he's not peeking the boss first, but the grind has to happen one way or the other. So I don't hate this play.
Yeah, I think Poydrak is probably just not concerned. If he does the grind and the 10 key item boost is not on, actually, we should be able to see that from Gambit's side. Do we get 68,000 from these dragons?
That's a very good point. We will find that out quite shortly.
I do like Gambit doing this egg here. It's a pretty well-known amount of XP, so it'll be really easy to determine if he's going to get the 10 key item boost before going to the giant.
That is true. He will definitely get that inside info. And moment of truth, 34,000.
Oh.
So this is a big fear. The no boosted XP for the 10 key items means that you're looking at, what would that be with no life glitch, with no boost? That's 25 D machines in order to get Rydia to nuke.
Well, that's right? From her base level, so she's already level 30 by now.
Yeah, but Rydia's level 30 is like 100,000 of that, so she's still going to need like 23 of those bad boys. This is going to be rough. So yeah, we're going to be here for a while. And Poydrak's going to be counting a particular number, and he's going to find out or not halfway through it, but he's going to find out at the end that he's only halfway there. But that being said, let's talk about all the great things we're seeing on Gambit's screen, because we're not going to see anything but weeks, sylphs, and a whole lot of dancing characters and menuing going on Poydrak's side. So we have Gambit making the route down. He's going through, doing some shop checks. He's going to pick up that key item, I assume, at some point from the free Rat Tail chest, the free Feymarsh chest, and get that Baron key. But what do you think, Bad Karma, Gambit's next move is going to be from here? Do you think we're going to see that dwarf check into warp, or might he be planning something else?
I think you've got to do the dwarf check into warp. You don't want to have to, dive down into the sealed cave if you don't have to. That's a long walk in, a long walk out. So I think you've got to take the gamble that knowing that K-Main is on, there's a really good chance that there's a key item in Dwarf Castle that is going to be either, the harp or, Baron key, which you just got. So I think you've got to check that dwarf before, making the dive into sealed.
Absolutely. And I saw a reset on Poydrak's side, not 100% certain. Oh, he still had the fire armor on. That is why he had to take the reset. So that fire armor could have been great against some sort of ice move, but not particularly great against steam machines. But hopefully Poydrak gets this steam machine fight again very shortly. Gambit seeing Octomam at the Leviathan spot and a Sparkle at the Asura spot. Now, has Gambit deduced whether K-Summon is on or off yet?
I don't think so. I don't think Gambit talked to Rosa's mom to find that out. So probably has not, we barely get any key items from Sylph, so you can't really count that.
That's true. So, but given those two particular bosses, Octomam is going to be strong against any sort of holy weaponry. And a Sparkle, given what we have left, is going to be Pogo Pogo,
And
Hail
Wyvern.
Dim, and Wyvern. So none of those are appetizing given this party composition at this time.
Oh, is he gonna? So he's gonna get his Darkness Crystal, but
Could also be going doors here.
that is true.
Because one of the things that he looks like he might be set up for is to go to Battle Speed 3, take a door encounter, or not.
So I'm sitting here trying to do the math in my head. So you've got two bosses in Dwarf Castle. We know one of them is Golbez. Gambit doesn't know that. Would going through Dwarf and using the warp glitch be faster?
So if you don't know the warp glitch is on, you can always just run down Sealed Cave, which he is doing, peek the item, and just reset out. It's roughly a minute elapsed time to make this run down. So you find out the item and then you decide, do I want to do this or not? Now, if this turns out to be something like Magus Sisters or Valvalis, you go to Dwarf immediately and you warp glitch and you just get the heck out of here because that is no fun. So this is one of those things that you wouldn't see when runners knew the flags. Because if you know warp glitch is on, you're just going to go take advantage of that warp glitch right away.
Right.
But Gambit doesn't want to deal with the cutscenes or the extra bosses to find that out. That all being said, this is a really tough spot. This is a fast spot with big magic. And Dark Knight is not what you want to see when you're at 8 total health on your party.
Ooh.
So it's free, but he has to make the entire run down again.
See, if I was Gambit, I would be heading over to Dwarf and gamble on warp glitch being on, because if I've got to run back down there, I want to at least have some more levels, and that's at least 40,000 XP sitting in Dwarf Castle.
Yeah, I think more than anything, I would just be mad that I didn't heal. I think that's where my mindset would be like, oh, Possum, you silly boy, why did you not just heal when you saw your go mode item? I think that would be my attitude. So I'm hoping that Gambit doesn't have the same attitude I have of beating himself up over this, because to this point he's played extraordinarily well, and I would not want to see one small oops, if you will, to, make a more a larger or longer lasting impact on his play. So I hope he recovers from this nicely and gets through this perfectly.
Yeah, I would agree. I feel like he's run a really good race. This is a good gamble too, because it does pay off. Painman is, while he's going to hit hard, this is doable. Especially with the Cecil. I believe that wave was what? It was like 400 to 500 or something like that at this spot.
I think it's only going to be like 200 to 300, maybe like 250 to 350, simply because this spot is evil walls, and it's designed to not hit you hard. It's designed to just crush you with magic to make sure those petrifies hit. So I don't think it's going to do more than about 350 absolute tops.
I also see what you did there, and I approve.
See, I don't even know what I did there.
You know how the wall's just designed to crush you.
Oh, well, yeah, you know, that is a good point. See, you know, I guess when you're good, right?
When you're good, the puns just come out without you even realizing it.
I'll have to thank Baka for all the time I spent listening to him before I started playing this game.
I've also lost track of how many dragons Poydrak has killed. I know we've been talking a lot about Gambit for a little bit. I have no idea how many dragons Poydrak has killed.
Well, here's the problem with even taking a guess at it or knowing how many. It's not enough, because we know that 10p item boost isn't on. So whether he has killed some or has not, we just know it's not going to be sufficient. And it's kind of, from his perspective, going to be like, oh.
I did actually pull up Zoe's calculator. It's 21.
Okay. So 21 for Rydia at her current level. That's still so many D machines.
It is. Oh, I know. It's so many.
And we see Gambit making his way back out of Sealed Cave now, mixing in warping with Rydia as well as walking, and knowing which rooms are shorter to walk. Personally, I'm lazy and I just menu as fast as I can to warp out of every room here, even if it's like 6 steps. So kudos to Gambit for actually figuring out where to save the frames there, which I can't be bothered to do.
Yeah, one of the ways I tell which ones is if I feel like if I can get through certain floors by a certain music cue. That's how I determine if I'm going to use warp or not.
Oh, I haven't even thought to do it off an audio cue. That's very creative. I like that. And we have Gambit making the trip into Kaipo. Likely going to be picking up his Excalibur, or maybe going to check the Sand Ruby character.
Yeah, I don't think anybody has been in here. If we did, I missed it. Oh, just another Tella.
Yeah, second Tella. It's some kind of meta, but I don't think it's the meta that Gambit's looking for. And we may be getting a 4-character seed from here on out from Gambit, or he may actually check the Moon character, which neither of our runners have done.
I think Moon character is definitely a good check. If he could still go through Zot, it's a long check, but it is 2 characters. I don't think I would make that. I would just take whoever's on the Moon if I could.
Yeah, basically, as long as it's not a duplicate character, you're able to take them. So Sid from Dwarf Castle, a couple Tellas, a couple Rydias. Poydrak, done with his fight, got 398,200 experience and probably has a puzzled look on his face because he may have to do this again.
He's probably like, well, that was one thing that was had a low chance of rolling, and it did.
So yeah, Rydia still needs another 460,000 XP to get to Nuke. So Poydrak may just be saying, nah, I'm good, and might just lean into Rosa and Cecil here.
That brings the number of D machines down to 12.
Which is still more than you would do on a normal D machine grind at any point. That's that is much more than a 65,000 HP Magus Sisters because of the split. That's those are some.
Pulling it up right now.
That's probably going to be 60,000 on the middle sister and 30,000 on the outside ones, or somewhere right around there. This is going to be the full experience.
That's 28,000, 49,500, and 25,500.
Yeah, so that's 100,000 total health to go through. Have fun, Poydrak, and Gambit as well when you get there, my friend. Now, thankfully, Rosa should have a fair amount of mage killing gear, and Excal Cecil's still going to do a great job. The magic is going to do basically nothing here. The punches are the only possibly scary thing. But the biggest part about this fight is, boy oh boy, is it a time sink. Because even if you kill the front or back sister, Cindy, the middle sister, can just remedy and revive them. And then they come back with 25 or 29,000 more health. So we could be looking at 150 to 200,000 health here, depending on how the attacks go.
Yeah, and the only saving grace is that it's required. Everybody else is going to be going through this. So while you're wanting to just be going through this as quickly as possible, that everybody else you're racing against is still going to have to go through it.
That is true. Now, the other kind of interesting thing about this is you're going to get 102,500 XP as a base from this. But I believe each sister counts equally. So every additional sister that is killed and revived will net another 34,000 to 35,000 experience. So even if you do have multiple iterations, you're getting all that bonus XP. So this does function almost as that secondary grind that Poydrak would have needed to go through anyway to get some of those final endgame levels. So it's not all bad from the runner's perspective, even though this will take a long time.
Yeah, and that's where having a Berserk Excal Cecil to just kind of start chipping away, doesn't matter if, he focuses on Mindy for a really long time or anything like that, because that XP is going to add up if he gets a couple extra kills. That's going to be a couple levels on Rydia that Poydrak's going to either want to finish off, or he's just going to focus on Cecil and Rosa to finish the seed out.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, what I'm curious on is Gambit going to lean into this warrior Princess Rosa that he's built up, and is he just going to go straight for those Magus sisters rather than opting for a grind? Now, I do see he's going for this last arm chest, which on T Wildish, if I'm not mistaken, has a 65% chance at a tier 7 item, I think is the number on it. It's incredibly high. So if he can get a crystal sword, if he can get an Avenger, something like that, that would really be quite the upgrade and a nice long-term advantage.
A Bahamut summon would actually be a really good thing to get through this Magus Sister.
That's true, and the Bahamut summons were for sale in Aggr, and neither runner purchased them.
Did miss if Gambit went up to the moon and saw to see who the moon character was.
I did not see him go up there, so I believe he is just rolling with these 4. Looks like we got a triple dodge on the fission from Tella, Rydia, and Rosa, so you love to see that on Gambit's side. And just a black shirt, which is about the worst possible item, tier-wise, you could get. It's going to go great for Rydia, but that was not what he was looking for out of that.
Yeah, that was a gamble that you really hope paid off to be the Crystal Sword, especially going through these next 2 bosses.
Yeah, now, one of the things is, I think both runners may have sold that Rune Axe.
They did.
Which would have, no joke, been far superior to an Excalibur in this fight. So that's fairly humorous, but I am liking this play from Gambit. See if he can get that Rosa online and just get her firing away at these Magus Sisters, and maybe able to get through this with a little bit less of a grind. Also has a Mute Knife for Cecil.
So yeah, these mage-killing weapons are gonna make a huge difference time-wise for allowing Gambit to get through this a lot faster.
Yeah, I don't know if he's going to get through it faster per se, but even if he gets through it in the same amount of time, he's going to make up ground by virtue of not having grinded. If he can get the majority of the XP he needs from this spot and then the CPU spot, that may net him multiple minutes back from the lead that Poydrak had built up. So this is going to be very interesting to see how the rest of this one plays out.
Yeah, that Mute Knife you can see there doing as much as Poydrak's Excal Cecil is doing.
Yeah, the racial, the type bonuses, the elemental bonuses, all of those are incredibly important. Poydrak actually getting through the Magus Sisters fight without a single remedy, I believe, which is, I find that to be incredible, honestly, given the damage distribution. That feels like a very low chance, but very good job to him.
Yeah, we've seen a number of Rouge Slapdash Elements fights. I know I had the privilege of being involved in the CPU at Elements Slapdash with the Mage Party.
I mean, what's wrong with that? Just cast Medio over and over and over again. The Globe 199 is not a thing.
No, it was actually after that one where I learned that you could float the attack. Oh.
Yeah, you can definitely do the float strats. Things you would like to be able to float over are these big waves. This is not a kind Ogopogo, but hopefully that Excal Cecil can get through this.
Yeah, this is everything you hoped for and more when Giant Percent was crafted, I'm sure.
I mean, we saw so many free bosses early on. It was almost a certainty that something or some things rude were going to be up here.
Yeah, we knew that the Giant and the Moon itself, while we're not going to see any bosses on the Moon probably, seeing this Root Giant is bravo to Tricker. Bravo.
Yeah, I will say Poydrak dodging hits on the Cecil in particular is going to make this fight very easily completed for him. So a little bit of fortunate RNG here that he did not get his Cecil sniped after the opening double big wave. That would have made this fight full recovery mode. Instead, Ogopogo weak to Berserk. Now, he doesn't get the levels on Rosa, but he's through the fight, and that's all he wants to be with that Ogopogo is done.
Now to note, he's only down to 7 D-Machines if he wants to finish that grind up.
I have a feeling that he's good on grinding, that he's going to just lean into the Rosa and Cecil and just complete the seed from here. Might peek at the Ribbon Room, but he's got all the objectives he needs. That's objective 2 to give him all 5 complete. He gets his crystal, and if he wants to, he can go straight up to the lunar subterranean, make that walk, and head on to Zeromus.
I suspect that's exactly what we'll see him. Past the Lunar Dais, probably past just about any character, except for maybe Fusoya.
Yeah, I think you would take Fusoya over Rydia because she's not fully grinded up. So I think that would be an easy one. But I think that would be about it, yeah. Maybe second Tella? It would be another source of Cure 4, and you wouldn't have to rely on Asura? I don't know. That's a Porum, which is a character.
Not the character I think Podrak was hoping to see.
I don't know if he's been able to determine vanilla agility or not yet, but that makes a great anchor.
Yeah, I think at this point, I think we can say vanilla agility is off. And based on how the Magus Sisters and the Ogopogo fights went, I think we're probably good on vanilla agility.
Yeah, in particular the Magus Sisters fight, because that element spot has some ridiculous number of agility points. I want to say it's like 89 or something. It's ludicrously fast. And they're not moving as fast as they would if vanilla agility were on. So I think you're absolutely correct on that.
And also to point out, while Gambit's got to go to the moon, we haven't seen a pass. Gonna get that Porum. Gambit's not really punished for not taking that 5th character. I mean, Porum needs just as much XP to get to White as Rydian does. To get.
Yeah, absolutely. And as good as Sid is to have, Sid's not contributing a ton for this party. If anything, he's going to be the ultimate safety valve for Podrak by basically having 4,000 health and a stack of Cure 3s. So I would highly doubt we're going to see Sid even get zerked in this Zeromus fight on Podrak's side, just for that matter.
I say we give the engineer some love and let him zerk and do some stuff. He's got an Earth Hammer. What more does he need?
You can nerf Big Bangs by using Earth Hammer as an item. I'd love to see it.
Podrak is going to check this ribbon room and see...
And he's probably going to know about it. That is a grind, though. I don't know that that's the grind I would want to take, but it's a grind. So we get the Magus Sisters grind and the CPU grind in the same seed? Tricker, you are too much. I love you.
That's only 9 orbs, according to fantastic grind calculator by Zoe Vermillion.
Zoe's just wonderful. Comes up with Tricker for this. Has all the grind charts. 9 orbs? It's doable. It's uncomfortable. It's a long grind, but it's doable. And welcome to all the raiders from Maya Fuji's stream.
Yeah, as I'm looking at this, actually, those orbs only have 3,500 HP.
Oh yeah, it's perfectly reasonable to turn this into a grind. But I think the question is it worth it? Rose is at 2,000 health already. She does get a ton of good magic defense just as she levels up. I'm just not sure it's necessary, especially given the length of this particular fight, since you can't just Zerk Cecil up and go. So, I definitely see it. And I understand what he's going for. I'm just not certain that it's optimal, if you will, given how wonderfully Podrak has run this race already. I wonder if this is just him saying, let me make sure I get through this, I take this Z out, and we have no issues. And that, a comfortable Z is a good Z.
Could also be hoping for, a key item Avenger or a key item Crystal Sword out of this, because he knows that this is gear. Two checks of, chance for high tier gear here.
That's true. And, it's not going to be key items. So he knows that those are off the table. So these are going to be, good pieces of equipment of some sort. So that's a very valid point as well. And we see Gambit is through the Magus Sisters, got 136,000 XP, so he did get an extra sister in there. I believe it was Sandy that he got an extra kill on. So a little bit of a boost for him.
Now the question is, will he set up the D machine?
That is the question indeed.
At level 36, it's only 18. Only
18. Yeah, we see slows coming out on the attacker from Poydrak. One of the interesting things about applying slow or silk web or things like that to respawnable enemies, if that attacker were to be killed and come back, it would actually still have the slow stacks on it because they persist through death because they actually stick to the similar sprite in the similar spot on spawn. It's a very odd mechanic, as so many things are in this game. But that also makes it viable to do things like slowing a Mac Giant or slowing a D machine.
Yeah, and you'll notice that happens with your own characters too. If you get hit with a bad breath, certain statuses will persist through the death as well.
That is correct, absolutely. Looks like Poydrak has had enough fun with the CPU, just as Gambit is about to have some fun with D machines. And we shall see shortly what Poydrak's rewards are, in addition to just those levels.
And to note, I looked away just for a second. It was a crystal sword?
It was a crystal sword. And a moon veil, which is not as required in this case, but yeah, that's a crystal sword. So, well done. I take back every bit of questioning you I've ever done, Poydrak. You are the man, the myth, and the legend.
Hey, every chest you don't check is a crystal sword. Unless max tier 6 is on.
I just wonder how many cookies that PK won in this gamble that he placed on the race, if he actually put one on this one, to that there's always a crystal sword that's going to be found. And there's an alt gone. Or no, excuse me, that's just a tricker. For the tricker bot.
He popped the siren.
Very well done.
To note, Tricker did roll the seed, and no one else has finished yet. As we're starting to see some strange flags in the chat. Possum, you know what these are for?
Let's see. It's 7:30 my time, so it's not bedtime. It's past nap time.
It's never past nap time.
All right. Well, if you want to keep a normal adult's sleeping schedule, it's past nap time. I don't know how many of us there are in this community, but we're a pretty eccentric group. But yeah, I think those flags have something to do with the final boss, Zeromus, who can't be placed anywhere else because he's too big and too bad. But I just can't think of the question that goes along with those Z's.
Here's the thing. There is a flag for Vanilla Zeromus. So it could very well not be randomized.
That would just be unfortunate. Oh, that's a lot of shaking.
Oh.
I'm gonna have to ask you to calm down, Zeromus. But I think there is a question, and I'm gonna let you ask that question, Bad Karma, before we get this crystal popping on Poydrak's side.
Whose butt are we going to kick tonight?
That's the one. See, I always forget it.
I usually let my co-commentator get to ask.
Well, it's been wonderful, working with you this evening and, getting to race beside you as well. So I figured we'll let you have this one. And thank you, Profness, for gifting 5 subs to the community. You are awesome. Thank you so much for that.
Well, that's not vanilla, Zeromus.
Yeah, definitely not vanilla. It's Vipermus. And this is apparently from SWAT Cats, which I'm not gonna lie, I have never heard of until this very moment.
I may have seen an episode or two, and I may have had an action figure, but that was a long time ago.
That is 4,700 from Cecil, and that is a Bacchus wine going on to Sid. So Poydrak comfortable enough with his levels on that Rosa and with her gear that he is going to Zerk up that Sid. And even Tella sticking around. Honestly not doing much other than eating up healing that could go to someone else. But he's still standing for now.
Hey, that Earth Hammer doing 1,000 damage. You can't expect much more from Sid.
Oh, that was 2358, so apparently I can. But if he's pushing 2,000 with Sid and 5,000 with Cecil, that's 7 around. Add in a virus here or there. He's going to be pushing a fair amount of damage per round. If he's around 8,500 a round, it gets a little awkward for Big Bang into Medio. But we're just going to pretend that's not going to happen. Also, I think Cecil would survive Big Bang into Medio at this point.
Yeah, I mean, even Sid could survive and he can do 12 hits. 6 to 12 hits. I don't think he'll dodge 6 to 12 Medios, but you know.
Yeah, definitely not. Looks like Gambit is done with his D-Machine grind, got 315,000 XP and an Hourglass 3 for his troubles. May also, even after doing that egg, have not realized the 10 key item bonus was not on, or was going for a very particular level with Rosa and Cecil. So we'll have to find out from both runners. I'm curious what their thoughts are going to be on that 10 key item bonus being off, and when or if they realized it.
Yeah, with Cecil, if Gambit was still concerned about vanilla agility, I think 46 to 50 is when you get to being around, 28 to 32-ish agility, I think. So he's probably just shooting to be in that area.
Yeah, absolutely makes sense, especially with the XP that's about to come up from the CPU spot. I know that level 44 and 45, Cecil's at 28 agility at both of those, which is perfect. And then I think if you get him to level 53, I want to say it might be level 54, you can put a Drain Sword on him to start the Zeromus fight, get him back down to 28 agility, and then put your Crystal Sword or Excalibur on him, and then Zerk him. So there's a lot of ways to manipulate things with Cecil. But speaking of manipulating things, Vipermus has been manipulated into dropping rocks on people.
Can't hold out anymore. Gonna just start throwing the book at us. Rocks, books, they're all the same.
Well, rocks and books and everything else and nothing else matters because Poydrak has defeated Vipermus in an official time of 1:43.11 in first place of everyone in the race. So GG's to Poydrak.
GG's, and we will see about getting him in here for an interview.
And while we are waiting on Poydrak, if he is so kind as to join us, we do have Gambit running through this Ogopogo. Looks like he is stabilized with some blinks and gonna get this Cecil whacking away at Ogopogo's health pool. And looks like Zoe Vermillion, the creator of the Tricker bot, has been so nice as to place the flags in chat for us to see. And while we are reading over those, we are joined by our first place finisher and the king of the Slapdash every Sunday, Poydrak. GG's Poydrak.
Shout outs to Zoe Vermillion. Because without her doing that would not be possible. And using the siren to summon a tricker, I think was appropriate at the end there after I've got my levels.
A man of the people you are.
Yeah. That's a new improved Slapdash. That is terrifying.
Well, you found 5 characters. There is one more out there. There's a Palom somewhere.
Well, there's also a Purim. The Purim was on the moon, so that puts the count to 7.
Yeah, Zoe actually just posted the flags in the chat for us.
Oh right.
So it was a distinct 10, but it was only Sid, Tella, Rydia, Cecil, Purim, and Palom.
With a Rosa start.
With a Rosa start.
Yeah, so, that makes sense.
What was your feeling, Poydrak? And I hate to bring this up because it may have surprised you, but what was your feeling after running, such a wonderful race and getting to do your D machine grind, and then only seeing 300 some odd thousand experience?
With mystery, you sort of have to expect it. I'm the one that sort of set these weights, so I know that no boost is there, no 10 key item boost is there. Mm-hmm. I didn't think about it until after the fact, but I'm glad I did the extra D machines that I was planning to do anyway for that 300,000, because the fights after that weren't exactly the most friendly.
Mm-hmm. And speaking of those unfriendly fights, overall that giant, how were you feeling just seeing, the Magus sisters and then seeing the Ogopogo?
Once I saw the Magus sisters, I sort of knew it was going to be a long fight. Once I saw Ogopogo, it was, I'm in danger, because I had saved over my file that was just outside the giant when I saved before the D machine grind.
Ooh,
that's scary.
Yeah, and that was the new setting of Vanilla Giant, so we couldn't leave the giant until we had completed it. So the only option would be to gain more levels through another D machine grind. Luckily, there was encounters available to do that, or just try again if I failed. Luckily, Cecil just went ham with that Excalibur, which I sort of sold the earth for.
Oh, you did sell everything.
It was like, okay, 160,000 for an Excalibur. That's what I thought when I started this. I've got this money, I've got all these items, let's go and sell that. Looked again, 190,000. Damn it. What else can I sell?
We could hear that. We could hear it in the booth, like you went right over at 160.
Yeah, and it was like, what don't I need? Am I going to find a Kane today? Am I going to find a Sid? Is dupes on? Because at that point, I still didn't know. It wasn't until we got that video in the hook route that no dupes was sort of shown to be not on. No dupes was shown to be on. So it's a constant feeling of surprise for these mystery flags, finding out what's available and what's not to you, and how do you leverage it to the best of your ability. Okay, the first things I did was, here's the dupe glitch on. No? Okay. do we have free shops? No. but the shops are wild. When I saw that Hourglass 1, so that was a good thing to know. I believe it was T Wildish 90 or 80. I'm not entirely certain of that. I haven't checked yet. And the other question I had at that point was, is it push B to jump? Those were the first 4 things I checked.
Yeah, it was actually T standard 80.
It fooled us too.
T standard. It makes sense for T standard. I was tossing and turning between the two of them. I guessed on Wildish, but T standard was quite a possibility there.
That's what we guessed too.
We got the objective straight up, and the other thing in Baron is go speak to Rosa's mother, because she sort of tells you where the key items are, and you can check which key item flags are there. At least at the moment, there's been talk about things changing for that. We'll figure out that later on. But as soon as I finished talking to her, I knew that it was only K main, and I also knew that Miss Dragon was a target. Luckily, Miss Dragon was just sitting there with Cecil, mortal enemies, having a drink.
How did you feel about those overworld bosses? In the first 3 or 4 boss fights, getting pretty much all of the free bosses.
I hated it. It gave me some good information, and because I was able to confirm no free bosses was definitely off, because we were able to use them coffins, and it also told me that live glitch was off. So just between those two, brilliant. The other big question I had right until the end, which I think it was in the Ogopogo fight that I actually really just said, yes, this is definitely on, is vanilla agility.
It is not.
It is not on.
No.
What?
According to Zoe, vanilla agility is not on.
I'm absolutely flabbergasted at that. I'm almost certain that Cecil was being the base of all agility there.
Yeah, our speculation up here was that if vanilla agility were on, it would have been really noticeable in the Magus Sisters fight, especially because of how darn fast the Elements fight is. That was kind of where we were able to rule it out, but it wasn't until the bitter end.
Wow, I really thought it was that was on. It makes sense for that Elements fight that it wasn't on, because that spot is really, really fast, and it would have been they would actually been in relative 1 compared to my relative 5s. Yeah, that makes sense. Sometimes you misjudge flags, especially when you think about it. Most people in using these mystery flags over the last week or so, because it's really a new thing, have been playing it casually. This is a race. The pressure is completely different. It's a live race as well, so the pressure is completely different. So you've got to think, what have I found out? What have I got to do? What have I... where am I going next?
Well, you did it amazingly. We just want to put that out there, Poydrek. You ran an immaculate race from our eyes. You were just crushing it all the way through. Like, it was a pleasure to watch.
It's fun. I'm a real fan of these mystery seeds. I've said it multiple times. I'm a big fan of being challenged in my runs. I I take on things which are a little bit more on the difficult side quite often, and just not knowing is it's fun. It's just really up my alley, and it's really good for me to just sit back. And I actually find trying to figure out the flags of the run is actually a little bit more exciting than actually the run itself on occasion. So, because I'm one of these people that will go out and work out what is actually happening and why it is happening. And it's something I always do consistently, not only in these mystery things, but in my everyday life. It's just like, how does this work? Oh, that's how it works. This must be on. I know what I'm doing next. So, mystery flags, mystery seeds. Yes, I love them. They're now going to be a part of Slapdash. There's a 3 in 10 possibility that it will happen weekly. Today, the first time, we got that number 7, and it turned up.
That's what the 7 was for.
Yes. I roll a die 10 on the Google roll a dice, and if it's 1, 4, or 7, the seeds, the flags will be hidden. Any other thing, it'll be flags will be known to everyone. So yes, mystery seeds are not going to go away. We might very well see them again very soon. And I hope everyone had fun trying to figure them out with both yourselves.
It was a blast.
and it looks like, as our tracker just pointed out, there is a new beta update, so there's even more flags for you to include.
I'm going to have a look at that now. Yay! Right. Fun. More Slapdash work.
For those who don't know, for one, Gambit just finished in 4th place. GG's to him. We will get him in here for an interview here shortly. For beta.ff4fe.com if you would like to start looking and testing out and playing some of these new flags that are being tested.
Yeah, I'm going to let Gambit come in, speak his mind about how bad I am and how bad Trickerbot is for giving us all these things. And I will see everyone very soon. Have a good evening, everyone.
GG.
Thank you, Poor Drag.
And welcome in to Gambit, our 4th place overall finisher and 2nd on Restream. GG's Gambit.
GG's, that was a seed.
That's our question to you.
Let's see. I think I figured out a couple things. For one thing, we had vanilla traps were on. I figured that one out pretty early with the flame dog check. K main, because there's no way I have this many key items with not doing any other check. Vanilla agility was not on. Thank you, Herstring. Anything else I'm missing? Any big ones?
Those are the main ones. There is a Palom at the Tower of Zot. There's only 7 characters total, though, with a distinct 10.
Ah, okay. Yeah, I kind of made the decision once I got Go mode. I was like, you know what? I'm just going with 4 characters. It's going to be, I'm keeping the theme from last week. It's date night. That's when Rosa got this. I also made the one dumb mistake, I wonder if you guys caught it, where I sold my light sword before I went to Forge, forgetting that this is probably not giving me an X-Cal, is it?
We hadn't seen that, or at least I didn't, but we had speculated that you were going to go turn the Forge in and then have a very sad look on your face afterwards. Not that we can see your face, but you were going to be like, oh, it's that Forge.
Yeah, I figured it was, and then I still got so excited. I'm like, let me sell the light sword I'm using, because I wanted the extra money to buy whatever it was I bought in the shop. Thankfully, S Wild was definitely on, because I found an X-Cal in, I want to say it was, Kaipo?
Yes.
And at that moment, I told myself, never punished.
Yeah, the only thing that you probably would have liked to know about, there was a crystal sword in the ribbon room waiting for you behind a CPU.
Oh, that would have been nice, but I wasn't about to. I wouldn't have sat to that CPU already in Go mode to get that crystal sword. So that would have been real nice to have.
So I wanted to ask Gambit, did you pick up on the fact that there was no 10 key item boost from the siren you did on the egg? Or did you realize it after the D machine grind? Or did you not realize it, period?
I realized it after the D machine grind. I looked at my chart and I did enough D machines that if the EXP boost was on, it would have got me to nuke on Rydia. And when it didn't even get me to white on Rosa, that's when I was like, okay, EXP boost is not on. I got to Cure 4, which was pretty much my ultimate goal. I'm like, as long as Rosa's got Cure 4, I'm fine. Rydia, would love to her to have nuke, but if she doesn't, yeah, whatever. So either way, I was like, let's do enough. I did notice Life Glitch was not on. That was one of the first things I tested at the very beginning of the seed. So I was like, let's do, with EXP boost, 8 D machines would have got me to nuke. It didn't. So I was like, okay, no EXP boost.
Gotcha. And just take us through in general, what was your thoughts on that giant?
That was an interesting giant. Maggot Sisters there, I thought would be a lot worse than they actually were. Once I realized they weren't hitting very hard and those magic spells weren't bouncing too badly, I was like, I've got a mute knife. Let's just Zerk Cecil, let him go to town. We'll use Sylphs to keep heals up and have fun. And it was about halfway through that fight that I realized I've still got an Elven Bow and a Charm Arrow. I've got Bacchus Wine. I can get Rose in on this action and make this go a little bit faster.
Makes sense. And overall, how did you feel about that Ogopogo once you found it? Pretty easy, or were you a little worried?
I was a little worried. I didn't know if I was going to be set up properly for it, and I was worried that it was going to, maybe take a white. But thankfully, getting Cecil zerked up immediately, I was able to cure with Rosa. Rydia was pretty useless in that fight, but it is what it is. But yeah, it went pretty smoothly. Once I had Cecil zerked and he was rolling and I was healed up, I was like, oh, okay, I'm fine. I'm through this.
Absolutely. What was your favorite thing that you kind of discovered playing through the seed tonight? Did you have a particular moment or kind of point of discovery or epiphanal moment, anything like that?
I think that the realization of S Wild was like probably my favorite moment when I forget which shop it was, but I opened up a weapon shop and there was a Masamune sitting in the very top spot. And I'm like, oh, S Wild. And my immediate thought was, I'm going to loot everything I can because I want to hopefully find adamant armors for sale somewhere and maybe pick one up. Unfortunately, never found them. Probably weren't turned on, but didn't matter in the end.
Absolutely, yeah. And adamants were in fact off. We got that verified, of course, when the pink tail got turned in as well, which led to a white shirt, which was nice for Rosa, but not an adamant armor.
Oh, I would have taken that white shirt. Rosa had no armor for a while after I took the heroin robe off.
Gotta love seeing Neki.
What's worse is I thought I had an extra wizard robe hanging around when I took the heroin robe off of Rosa and sold it. And I was like, wait, what? Crap, I have no armor for her. So I was so happy that last arm chest gave me that black shirt. I'm like, okay, Rydia, you have this. Rosa, you're getting hand-me-downs, but which good.
Absolutely. I'm out of questions here, Gambit. It was a pleasure watching you, do what you do as always. Bad Karma, you got anything else for Gambit?
I do have one. So you were given the choice between going to Dwarf and going to Luca. Obviously, Luca gave you the Darkness Crystal. Did you have a thought to maybe try Dwarf to see if the Warp Glitch was on?
I had that thought, but the way I played the Mystery Siege is I go in thinking, okay, there's no glitches on whatsoever. I knew Life Glitch wasn't on. Sylph Glitch thankfully was on. That was a big boon early on. But I was like, let's play it as if there's no glitches. Let's go ahead and run Luca first, see what's down here. If it's nothing that I need, if it's I think at that point Pinktail and Package were the two non-gating items. Like if it's one of those two, I can just reset out, no harm done. But I'd rather walk it down and find out that way than go through the two bosses at Dwarf and then try to warp glitch and it not work. And especially finding out that it was a vanilla darkness crystal, I wanted to bet a lot of other people might have got rabbit hole into doing that earth crystal into Baron Key, and if that Twin Harp had ended up being behind that dwarf castle, could have looped all three of those checks into one before even trying to dive Luca.
Gotcha. That was one of the big differences, I think, between you and Pordrak, was he did the dwarf castle and then attempted warp glitch, and it just paid off for him. But he had not found a Luca key either. He didn't even go to Sheila 1 and 2.
Yeah, Sheila pan check was the second check I made underground. First check being that required water hag at the top of tower. That was a nice find. Also running down, it's like, okay, got through the hook route, cool. Let's see who's there. Oh, look, the other blue robe. Ooh, that's required. Immediately land, go back up.
I mean, all in all, you ran a great race, came in 4th place overall tonight, so very well done.
Thank you, Bad Commer. Thank you, Possum, for doing the commentary. Solaris on the restream. Alchemy for doing the tracking. Looks like you got a lot of buttons to push, because I think probably between me and Poydrak we found everything, I'm imagining. I'm so glad to have been able to do the Slapdash. It's not a race I usually get to do because of work, so I'm happy to have the time off to run this. It's so much fun with the changing flag set plus the addition of the mystery this week. It's just hilarious, and I loved it.
Thank you for being on the restream.
Everybody have a good night.
Take care, and GG's again.
GG's. And on that note, both of our restream runners have finished up. Do want to do a quick shout out to Solaris, our restreamer, and Alchemy for doing the tracking tonight. Also to my co-commentator, Possum Morpheus. Thank you for joining me in the booth tonight.
It was an absolute pleasure, Bad Karma, as always. Love watching you race. Love doing comms with you. Hopefully we can do this again sometime soon. But it was, absolutely a pleasure. And a huge thank you to Solaris for facilitating this, and to Alchemy for doing the tracking. Thank you to Poydrak for all he does, not just in racing for us today, but also setting up the Sunday Slapdash. And again, a huge shout out to Zoe Vermillion for all the work on the Tricker bot, which was featured tonight doing the mystery portion.
Yeah, and I'm sure we will get a number of opportunities to work together. We do have the Lally-Ho League coming up in just a month's time. If you watched tonight and thought, hey, I'd like to get in, get some racing done, and join the league and see how you do. It's open to everybody to sign up. It was just posted here in the chat for the link for the rules as well. So hopefully we will see you out there for that as well. It looks like we are going to be heading over to FF4FE, who is actually running the Lally-Ho League Swiss flags. So that will be interesting to get a little preview of these flags and see somebody doing some running on them. Please keep the spoilers to a minimum, and we will see you all tomorrow night for the community race.